Massacre on the beat!
Welcome everyone to the Winlife podcast, where we focus on financial and personal growth, as well as creative expression. Today, we have a very special guest, close friend, mentor, colleague, all that good stuff on the show today. So today we have a very special guest by the name of Mark English. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, what's good, brother? Glad to reconnect again. I still have a video with me and you on my YouTube channel. You know, it's funny, someone commented on it, and we did that, must be back in 2020, I think. You know, so it's good to be, good to reconnect, man.
Yeah, I think you just needed someone to interview you randomly at that time, and I wasn't even doing interviews, but now we got this platform, this podcast, for the last couple of months. So shoot, I don't know, maybe that's just for shadowing, so yeah, here we are. I want to use today to really just highlight you, give you your flowers, say what's up, and just kind of let the world know what you're doing and, who Mark English is. So before we get started, let me, of course, give you the proper introduction, brother. Mark English is an esoteric instructor, entrepreneur, and trap trader. He is a graduate of Ferris State University and a Freeport, Bahamas native. Mark currently resides stateside in Oregon, where he runs a juice bar and wellness center. In recent times, Mark has focused on energy cultivation through breath work, intention, and movement. The Winlife podcast welcomes Mark English to the show.
Thank you, brother.
So really with this podcast, we just want to add value, grow our network, grow our net worths, and really just show those principles on what it takes to win at life, what we may deem successful in our life, and really just tell our story so other people can take from that and level up wherever they're trying to level up. So yeah, just want to say once again, thanks for having you here. I know you're very busy and you be doing a million things, bro. So I do want to say thanks for everything you taught me as a trader. A lot of people know me as a trader, but really a lot of my foundation came from Mark English. He taught me how the markets were manipulated and how the market makers trap traders in trades and how you can use that knowledge, essentially reverse engineer it to trade, create an awesome system. So maybe we'll ask Mark a little bit about that as we go. But I just wanted to kind of kick it off and just say, what are you up to these days?
All right. So yeah, right now, currently I actually just got a blessing from my Shifu, a good Shifu in Chicago that trained me virtually to start teaching Qigong in person. And for those that don't know, Qigong, Qi stands for life force, energy. Gong stands for cultivation, right? So it's basically a specific breathing technique that was kept within the Shaolin Temple for about 1,400 years. The name of these practices, the specific practice, is called Damo Yi Qin Jing. Damo was the enlightened master that actually brought the practices to the Shaolin monks, to the monks in China from India, actually. So what he did, he basically noticed that the monks were not, they meditated all the time, but their bodies were physically weak due to lack of movement. So they actually developed these specific movements incorporated with a breathing technique to help to open up the chi channels. All right. And strengthen the physical body. So in a sense, there's an element of body cultivation that does help to bring balance to the mind cultivation aspect. Because in Buddhism, when you look at it, actually, I guess I'll consider it the mainstream Buddhism. They specifically talk mainly about Zen, which is mindfulness, mind cultivation.
Right.
So a lot of people, when they think of meditation, they only think of mind-only cultivation. Now, cultivation essentially is primarily to cultivate the mind, but the big issue is that the body, because the body became so filthy, because the body became so tense, and the channels became so restricted, the energy has a very difficult time flowing through the body. So what takes place is this tension in the body makes it harder for us to reach higher states of what we call samadhi, or deep states of meditation. So in essence, these exercises help to cultivate the body in order for you to efficiently cultivate the mind. So it isn't really only about body cultivation. It's just where you're working to get the body as healthy as possible, to where you don't feel the body as much anymore, where it's more light.
Right.
All right. And you notice light, right? Hence light, cosmic light. And you got, so when you're feeling more light, there's less obstacles to be able to tap into what we call divine intelligence. You see, so the main thing in my Cultivation Academy, physically and virtually, because teaching online as well, is to incorporate both body cultivation and mind cultivation. Because you find that, for example, the Taoist, a lot of people, when they get into Qigong, there's people that only focus on cultivating the body. And then you have other people that only focus on cultivating the mind. So what we want to do is we want to bridge the gap and bring both together to where you could reach a state of samadhi, or a state of peace, mind mastery on another level. And when I mean mind mastery, I'm not meaning as if you don't experience imperfections and emotional triggers. It's the ability to
Withstand
feel
it, right? Just embrace it.
To feel the triggers and to actually break the cycle. And that takes tremendous amounts of energy. All right. So lately, my main focus has been that, but I'm now getting back into Forex, and I just, I do kind of want to extend out to the students in my group, the official Trap House group, and maybe people that may have wanted to learn from me. I've been off the scene of Forex for a few months. After my father passed away, I had a lot of responsibility I had to take on.
All right.
And my mind wasn't there. And what took place was, going to be honest, I tried to, because of all the responsibility, I tried to trade more aggressively, especially at such an emotional time, and I made some mistakes. So I have to actually re-up again on, I'm back in the game in Forex, but I did not feel right teaching at a time where I had so much going on. I just don't do that. I like to be in an authentic place. I like to be able to show my trades and show results, so that's just a heads up. And I'm back in the game on Forex, like starting this week.
Okay. Yeah. I kind of wanted to ask you a bit about your trading. Because like I said, I learned from you, and I know you've had your own journey. So I did want to kind of touch base with where you were. But just to take a step back, you were telling us about, you have basically like a Qigong Academy where you teach different movements as well as different meditations. Is that right?
Yes. It's specifically Shaolin Qigong. And, I'm definitely going to be teaming up with my teacher and also the Shaolin monk, Go Lin, the Shaolin monk that brought these practices to America, this part of the world. His name is Go Lin, and he used to have a physical place in New York. I think currently right now, they also just teaching online, maybe. And, but besides that, right now, it's 4 different styles of Shaolin Qigong that we basically going to be teaching. But it isn't only that. At the end, we also do mindfulness meditation, because 80% of energy cultivation is empty meditation. And you have to actually let go of the bodily sensations you feel. The most efficient way to allow the body to heal is to let go of the body, let go of the breath. And when you allow the mind to be, the body can just work. It does seem simple, which it is, but it's actually one of the most difficult things that you can do.
Because we're addicted to our emotions and our habits and all of that. So it's like you got to break those patterns to get there. And like you're saying, when you try to break those patterns, if you don't, either way, you're going to be hit with those triggers. So it seems like you're basically gearing people up with the tools to, one, identify those triggers, and then two, work through it, and then have your system in such a way that you can deal with the shock that you might go through, or it won't be that intense, right?
Yes. Yeah. And it's see that the type of power we talking about, and people kind of rush to what the yogis do, right? Like they think of superpowers, but people have to understand that they first got to heal. And the first stages that you deal with is years and years of purification. Like, for example, when you have the ability to call yourself out on your own bullshit, you got to look at yourself in the mirror, and you got to be able to call yourself out, when you're falling back into a destructive habit or pattern. Okay. And this can affect you. It can affect loved ones around you. You got to be able to go within and really become that observer. Okay. Because these past triggers, they pop up, and you don't just get rid of them overnight. Okay. It's something where I teach a meditation. It's called inner witnessing, where you just witness the thoughts, witness the breath, and you detach from it, but you don't try to suppress any of it.
Right.
And
You
this is a
just
way
be the observer, and just let the thoughts, the feelings pass, and just observe them, and you don't label them good or bad. Right.
Yeah. No, you now there is another form of mindfulness where you do discriminate against specific thoughts. All right. Where you actually say, okay, no, I don't want that pattern. I don't want that. But in all essence, the main mindful meditation is just inner witnessing, and the more you do it, the more, as you move through life, you realize that all things, the highs and lows of life, you can't attach to, and while you start to witness the breath, you will feel your body's energy, what you call chi energy. You will start to feel your energy channels open up based on the hand mudras and stuff that's taught. So, and all of this comes into play as well with Forex, because, we've been in the game in Forex for a few years, and, Forex is truly the wild, wild west, so it a lot of people, there's hundreds of ways to trade it, but I think we can all agree is that it's the psychological aspect of Forex that
You're
really
trading
makes it
yourself,
difficult.
like we talk about facing all your demons and all that stuff. Like you're gonna face it. So basically, like you always told me, it's kind of like a small feedback loop trading, where you start to see your cycles, your triggers, all that stuff that surfaces, but it's so direct because you see your trades lose or your P&L go down or you break your trading plan. So it's so, so clear cut because we talk about these concepts, right? And so a lot of people, they may have never felt their chi energy, or maybe they felt it, but they haven't identified it, or they haven't awoken, for lack of a better term. But I just wanted to say, everything you're talking about, brother, it really is a science. It's, it's these ancient teachers, people like you who are keeping on these practices, who have kind of figured out the manual to the inner self, the human body, how to connect these things, how to connect to the internal ethos, all of that. So teachers like you, I commend. I say, like, thank you, because you really are like a cheat code to figuring out self,
Yeah, definitely, bro. I appreciate it, because it's and it's funny because it's just a day-to-day unfoldment, as time goes by. And one thing that my teacher always said is, he said that the chi will teach you. And it's the same with the market to some extent. You know, after a while, the market starts to teach you as well, you know. But what, you know, what I realized with Forex is that I'm actually, so Elman, right now I'm in the process. This week, I'm going to be putting in hours and hours, because I'm actually dumping all of those files out in my Google Drive that was originally my course. And I'm actually revamping the course. Because a lot of the stuff that I taught back then, I no longer do. I've simplified it.
I was going to ask, did you simplify it?
Yeah, it was a lot. So
it was a lot, bro.
Yeah. And I don't draw trend lines really, not really that much. You know, I barely draw support and resistance zones. It's really now I just deal with certain recent highs and lows, maybe some supply and demand zones, and M and W necklines. And it's all correlation, and all of it is on the 4-hour chart. I no longer look at the 15-minute, and I no longer look at the 1 hour. Sometimes I'll go to the 1 hour chart, but I only will deal with the 4-hour chart. And I will, and now specifically, I'm only tuning in. So it's the same time, basically New York session and London session, you know, and it's just where the banks will do these specific breakouts. And what they'll do is they'll get most of the retail world to bet in one direction, and then they'll reverse it. And it's a much more simple way. It's actually so simple that I feel comfortable teaching beginners, because, you know, I never really liked teaching beginners, but you know,
it sounds like your safety trade. I mean, if you're in line with the overall direction, but that was kind of like the first way you really taught me that I liked, because you know, kind of just unfolded for you.
Yeah, it was more simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, it could be a reversal too. So it's just really, you know, every week we talk about catching highs and lows of the week and just peak formations. And that's all I'm focused on, you know, because, you know, all of the other stuff is just, you know, I can't do it. You know, it's harder to be consistent when you're looking for so many things. Right. Simplicity is key. And I think a part of me, but I can't say it. It got me here, though. You know what I mean? It got me here.
Yeah.
But I over decoded, but it got me to the point after 5 years that now when I see the market, you know, and when I get back this $100K account, you know, it's $100,000 account, you know, it's going to be on another level than I ever imagined. You know, it's not just where back in 2020, 2019, where I was only paying my rent, you know.
Right.
And so that was it. You know, people saying, how much money you making? But I said, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, it's helping me, you know.
I was just going to say, I don't know if going back to over decoding, because I think that's something big we got to talk about, because I don't know if you could over decode, because we got to know the truth, right? We got to know. And like, when the market does behavior and we don't know why, we want to know why. Like, we want to know why we got stopped out. What did we miss?
Yeah, that's true. I can't say that because that's what brought me here.
But I think for our system, we don't necessarily have to do all of that every time. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, bro, when you actually see like how I teach now, it's going to be it's actually really different. It's the same, but it is different, you know, because I'm realizing the reason I choose the 4-hour time frame is because, you know, the daily and the weekly, I don't got that kind of patience. You know what I mean? Yeah. And at the same time, the 1 hour and 15, you know, it could give too much noise.
Right.
So 4 hours, like this little sweet spot that I found. And what I'm doing now, brother, is I'm creating 150 video examples. And that's about 150 weeks to prove, based upon the back test, that the market makers do this specific thing every week. And once you can see it, based upon my calculations, this has got to be at least an 85 to 90% win rate, which I will prove, as the time go by, because I've been perfecting this strategy for quite some time. And it can be incorporated with cryptocurrency. So just like how we would pair all of the currency crosses together, you have Bitcoin versus this, you have XRP versus that. So it's actually the same for cryptocurrency in some aspects, but I'm really excited to just trade, just from there. And in the meantime, I will be creating a lot of content, but besides that, like I say, my main goal is, just to not just go beyond flipping accounts, but, I see that FTMO also has a 200K account, and you could win up to 90% of your trading profit, So yeah, it's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. I think
so.
Forex.
Are you planning on going back to full-time trading, or you're gonna be trading? You're gonna be running your juice bar. You're gonna be doing your classes as well. Are you just gonna kind of plan to balance it all?
I'm gonna be balancing it all, because it doesn't really require that much time with the 4-hour chart. Either I see it or I don't. Basically, I don't do analysis anymore. I've stared at that shit for so long, and when I look at it, it's like, either I see the engulfing breakout, fake out, all happening together, or I don't. And when I don't, I just walk away. And mind you, that could be, the analysis may last like maybe 10, 20 minutes, I'll say. And then now the strategy I'm doing is, so when I see all of the Australian crosses doing some manipulation, I would then just take 4 to spread the risk amongst 4 to 5 Australian crosses. I'm no longer just taking 1 or 2, because this gives you a higher probability, because a lot of times some pairs move more than others.
Okay, so you're gonna kind of just spread out the, kind of hedge your bets a little bit, spread it out. Have you been doing that yet, or that's something you're planning on doing?
No, that's hedging it.
Just kind of like, because with us, we've thought about that, but generally it's like we pick 2 crosses and we ride with those. But I've considered, like, instead of risking, 3% on odd USD, what if I risk 0.5% on odd CHEV, odd USD, odd CAD?
Yeah, that's what I plan on doing.
Right. And you never know how those runners can run. You might, catch some long swings, and
you could have for example, like a take profit, on a few, and just let some of them run. Like maybe do half and half, because sometimes, especially catching these peaks, it could, you could just ride it for a long time.
Right.
See?
Okay. Well, I'm interested to see how that is. I'm going to be peeping up in the room, and obviously want to learn what new stuff what you're doing. And obviously I'm going to stick to my system, but I'm always looking to evolve, and maybe I will start to backtest this and level up my trading. So, I'm excited. Let's see where this goes.
It'll make a lot of sense. I mean, I know what I already was saying made sense, but it's not going to be a lot of the trend line breakouts and the wedges, and I don't do none of that stuff anymore, really. I mean, maybe if I see a perfect wedge, but not really.
Right. Well, a lot of our listenership don't know what a wedge or a breakout even is, but what Mark is talking about, like I said, he is an advanced trap trader. A lot of us take traps into consideration when trading the market to know how traders are being trapped. And what Mark has done is extensively back test, live test, and build systems around these theories that have extremely high success rates with really, really, really good risk to reward ratios, right? Where you're always essentially risking less than what your profit target is. And our risk is always fixed. But over time, what Mark is doing is what he's saying is he's evolving these trap systems just to break it down for you. And I think that that's super important because in this business, what we have learned is nothing is going to stay the same other than, of course, human behavior. But the algorithm, the algo bot that the banks use or whatever, the liquidity provider use, it constantly evolves, right? It's like adapting. So what we got to do, we got to adapt with it, right? So,
yeah. And that's why I watch multiple currency crosses, because it's this stuff would never be obvious. They do the same thing, but they switch it up amongst the crosses, like, but based upon the 4 hour, like, watch, you will see, brother. You will see just what I have up my sleeve this time. And this time I'm really going in. I'm talking about, dude, I mean, unlimited wealth. That's all I see. That's all I see, bro.
All right. So, yeah, we ready for that. I'm just curious, how long have you been not even just trading, but like hustling and being on your grind? Like, did you maybe have like a lemonade stand, or like me, I used to sell, bootleg CDs through high school? What was like your early entrepreneurship endeavors or anything like that when you were young?
It was funny because right when I came to the US when I was 17, and I used to sell bootleg DVDs, I used to sell that by the plaza.
I'm sorry to laugh, but
by the public plaza,
right.
But I got in trouble, trying to, because my parents sent me to a technical school, it's a little technical school in West Palm Beach to learn like HVAC, AC and stuff like that, which I did go back to college in Michigan, but even back when I was in the Bahamas, my father had a construction company, and, my mother had a club. So I did, back when I was even like 14, going on 15, I was working behind the bar, and I used to stock up the beer and stock up the liquor and, help stock up the storeroom and stuff like that. And, I cleaned up the club and, all of this at 14, 15. Usually, you ain't even allowed, like in the States.
Right. So you're learning how a business
you ain't allowed
ran.
until you're like 21, So from then I worked as a laborer too, a bit in construction. So I do actually have a construction background as well, where I worked for 5 years, actually probably like 7 years. One is an AC tech and the other is an AC building automation tech, Besides that, when I lost my job in 2018, I then just, that's when I really went hard at Forex, because I started Forex in 2017. And mind you, I still feel like I haven't hit the potential of Forex.
I don't think either of us have.
Yeah.
Any of us, to be honest.
And I think now, I've never felt this way in terms of Forex with this level of confidence. And I can say, fam, it really took. I mean, if you only knew, fam, I did nothing with my life at some point. All I did was study charts. That's all.
Is that how you got the confidence, or how did you get that confidence that you have now?
I'm marking up charts, man. Just marking up charts. And then, you get good weeks and stuff like that. You make, you're making some withdrawals and all that, and not feel good. But I still was like, playing so safe. Like, I was scared of it, like, I would make like 300, then then 700, and then, but it's like, I was like, I could play bigger, but there's something holding me back. But now it's like, I don't know, I see it so crystal clear now. I do. So right now, a lot of money was spent on getting the business together. I also am running a portion of my father's legacy when he passed away, which is, it's somewhat slow because a lot of projects are delayed due to COVID. So
what type of business?
So I'm like a broker for this composite steel flooring system called Epicor. Okay. And what we do is we're like quantity surveyors. All right. Where we get the plans, the upper floor layouts, right? So it's a composite steel flooring system for multi-story buildings. All right. So for example, let's say you have a hotel or a 2-3-story home. Not the ground floor wouldn't have the Epicor, but the first, second, third floor, like the floors in between the ground floor and the roof, where the roof does use Epicor as well, the layout would use our composite steel flooring system. So we would get the plans and price it based on the square footage. You see, almost like as estimators, quantity surveyors. You see, and I'm currently working with a partner of mine that worked with my father for 15 years. You see, so that's something that I do as well. But again, that, it comes and goes, because it depends upon when the contractor needs the material, basically.
Has your father's partner been able to kind of get you up to speed and hold you down since you're kind of, just stepping into that role?
Yeah. Yeah, because he's an architect. He's been an architect for 20 years, and he's one of the best on the island.
Okay. So yeah, it seems like you got a lot going on here. How are you organizing all this or keeping, schedule with everything? Are you like going crazy on a Google Calendar, or I'm sure all your practices help you with just staying in tune and not getting overwhelmed, but just from like a practical standpoint, like how you timing that all out? Like how's your time management on things, bro?
Yeah, so especially, with the juice store and, it does seem like a lot, but like I say, that the Epicor, it comes and goes. There's busy times and there's times where, it slows down, so I don't know. I'm not having too much of a difficult time bringing it all together. And I think definitely the practices and not eating a lot, I actually just ate yesterday. I think I ate a little too much, so I'm a little sluggish now. But before that, I didn't eat like that for 2 weeks. And I don't know, it's just when you tap more into cultivation, into energy, you don't really, I don't get as tired, so.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Can you just share your belief on what, humans need, what we need to sustain? If you kind of just share that view at its core.
Yeah. So, it's funny because you primarily would think, yeah, well, you need food to survive, which is true. It is true to some degree. And then there's another level of it that's also false. All right. So, like, for example, majority of the time when you eat, which is most human beings who eat cooked food, we eat cooked food. A lot of us are not on raw diets. So at the basic level, a lot of people start to understand that when you cook something, you kill it. You kill the life force in it.
Right.
It's the same when you eat an apple. The apple, if you pick it right from the vine, it has a living life force in it. It has enzymes in it. So when you eat the apple, there's an exchange taking place. The enzymes in the apple will help to break it down. But if you cook that same apple and then eat it, it's void of that life force. And therefore, your body would then have to tap into its own energy reserves to then get that food out and digest it. Now, see, a lot of people don't understand that anytime you put something inside the body, it's on a fucking mission to get it out. You know?
Right.
It's on a mission. So when you see that, imagine eating every day and not going to sleep. You would start to see, look, after 3 days of not sleeping, you will really start to see what that food is doing to you. You would basically be like a walking zombie.
A walking bloated zombie.
Yep, exactly. So think about that. So where are you getting your energy? See, sleep is unconscious energy cultivation. Sleep is meditation, where the body is still, right? Kind of knocks the minds out, knocks your mind out, and the body can do its work to repair. Now, what about when you start to consciously cultivate? Because everyone cultivates energy on the planet, but everyone is unconscious cultivators. And if you only cultivate energy unconsciously in sleep, you don't have a lot of it. You don't. You have just enough to be alive, maybe, but you don't have a lot of it. In order to get more of it, empower the nervous system to tap into your geniosity, you got to consciously cultivate energy. So meditation is almost like a conscious sleep, a state where the mind and body is at rest.